delve deep into the Lehigh Valley for this Eastern Conference clash. Bethlehem Steel Football Club playing host to Mike Jeffries and the Charlotte Independents. Tyler Terrence along with the incomparable Devin Kerr. And we're starting to get to the point of the season where standings are starting to become more and more real. And we'll take a look at the Eastern Conference. Right now, Bethlehem currently sitting in 10th place. However, 3 points can get them all the way up to 6th place and a tie with Nashville. Charlotte looking to improve their position after dropping some points at home against Tampa Bay midweek. And for the Charlotte Independent side, they've been consistent in terms of getting results, unbeaten in their last 4. Something that's also been consistent is their ability to put the ball in the back of the net. However, they have left some results on the table.
They've done it in 9 straight games, and the problem is that they've also conceded in 8 of those games. And going forward, it's been great, but it's got to be tighter defensively. They're putting together too impressive of a performance regularly versus quality opponents to let that happen. The reason it's been so good going forward, you're seeing those 2 boys right there, Cato and Herrera. Herrera a little slump, Cato on track. It's going to be a little different tonight. We'll see that in a minute. But they're becoming a little bit too predictable in their actions. Teams are got to figure that out. Got to interchange a little bit more and play going forward.
And Bethlehem has been figuring it out against some of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Draws against Louisville, FC Cincinnati, and New York Red Bulls too. The last game, they were able to score 2 goals in the last 4 minutes. This is a gritty young team.
You brought out the big names, Tyler, and they've done it consistently with quality against those guys. 3-1-3 in their last 7 games. Similar to stats to what you're seeing from the Independents. But look, the stretch in front of them, 7-8 games from now, opponent a little bit lesser of a quality. They need to continue this form. The guy who's been able to pull the strings for them in the middle of the field to help that out has been James Chambers. Game-tying goal late in dramatic fashion versus Red Bull 2. Jeffrey's telling us we cannot let him dictate the tempo for this tonight. We have to shut him down early.
Well, Bethlehem as of late have had a fancy for the dramatic. Charlotte Independents desperately looking for 3 points. They're unbeaten in their last 4, but they're winless in their last 5. Brendan Burke's young squad looking for 3 points that'll catapult them into playoff position. It's Bethlehem and Charlotte when we come back.
This summer, go to HersheyPark.com to plan a getaway to Hershey Park, the sweetest place on earth, and enjoy more than 70 rides, including Breaker's Edge and Whitecap Racer. And right now, if you go to Service Electric's website, sectv.com, and click on the link and like us on Facebook, you'll be entered to win a family 4-pack of tickets to Hershey Park. But you'd better hurry since this promotion is only available until July 15th. Hershey Park and Service Electric, teaming up to bring you the best summer ever.
It can happen over time or in a snap. If joint or muscle pain has taken you out of the game, we can identify the root cause of your problem and develop a sport-specific treatment plan to get you moving again. Over 400 medical experts strong, the region's only nationally ranked program. That's Orthopedics in Action at Lehigh Valley Health Network.
Almost ready for a Big Eastern Conference clash between Brendan Burke's Bethlehem Steel and Mike Jeffries' Charlotte Independents. Bethlehem looking to continue their run of good form as of late. They're coming off of a dramatic 2-2 draw against New York Red Bulls 2. Charlotte Independents feeling like they left one on the table against Tampa Bay, and we'll take a look at how Mike Jeffries' side is going to line up tonight. He told us that there were going to be some players who were getting some minutes that haven't as of late. Richie Perez and Jake Armand both getting their first starts of the season.
And going up top, we talked about Cordell Cato and Herrera, the dynamic duo, but someone that hasn't been really prevalent going forward is Eamon Zayed, and they need to get him more regularly involved. Armand on the left has been good, but he's so young. He's got to get more experience in situations like this. With Ty Mwape, speedster, he likes to get down into the channel. And if you look on the other side of the ball, Bethlehem Steel is going to try and counteract that in a 4-2-3-1 formation. When they do that, they're going to sit in the back. Matt Rial on the left, and you've got Olivier Bizo. Let his emotions get the best of him a couple matches ago versus FC Cincinnati. Got the double yellow, had to sit down. But this game, keep an eye on 37 Chris Nanko, telling us, Brendan Burke, that they want to run at Sam Vines. So Nanko, Najem Erbers are going to push down into the right side. That's going to open up other opportunities for trailing runs in Chambers and Moar. Keep an eye on that here this evening.
And the Bethlehem Steel starting 11 brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Health Network, and it's actually Richie Marquez getting the start along with Brandon Aubrey at that center back position. Normally it's Matt Mahoney, and he's played every single minute for this Bethlehem Steel that at times throughout this season can be extremely inconsistent. Mahoney's been the one consistent piece, and he's actually coming off of his first professional goal, the one that cut the deficit in half against New York Rebels too. And then of course James Chambers' goal, which sent the Forge and everybody here at Goodman Stadium into a frenzy. And Brendan Burke was just extremely happy with the team's fight towards the end of that game. And Devin, in talking to him, he obviously would have liked to have had that fight for the first 90 minutes of that match, but they were able to get the point against their rivals and John Wolinek's side, who seemingly had it in the bag heading down the stretch. But Chris Nanko with 2 assists late, James Chambers with the goal, as well as Matt Mahoney. And then the other side for the Charlotte Independents, Mike Jeffries just was very disappointed in his side ability to manage the game against the Tampa Bay Rowdies midweek. They went up by 2 goals, both Herrera and Cato scoring. We talked about that dynamic duo, but Jeffries said he usually doesn't address the team after the game, but he felt like he needed to after that one against Tampa Bay.
Asked him exactly what could they do, albeit going forward we need to see more things, tighten up defensively. What's the one thing they need in the resonate throughout the entire performances that we've seen where they haven't been able to get 3 points on a regular basis? And he said, it'd be easy for me to say consistency. We're consistent. We've gotten good results. But the problem is we're turning the lights out and shutting off a little bit early. 3, 4, 5 minutes, this match here and that match here, which allows other teams to get those game-tying goals, to maybe jump out in front, and then the Independents have to claw their way back. If we can tighten it up there, we'll be good to go.
Bethlehem Steel sporting their Navy kits as Charlotte Independents are in their all-whites, and we're officially underway, says Matt Franz, our head referee, Tyler Terrence, along with ex-German pro Devin Kerr. So glad that you can join us here in the Lehigh Valley for what should be a thrilling contest between two sides who were playoff teams a year ago. Both teams ousted in the first round, Charlotte Independents in back-to-back years, losing to Bob Lilly and the Rochester Rhinos up at Capelli Sports Stadium. Fortunately for Mike Jeffries and his side, that will not be possible this season. And Bethlehem, of course, were knocked out by the champions Louisville City FC in the first round by a score of 4-0. Charlotte's game with Rochester a bit closer than that, 2-1 in extra time. Stefan DeFreger with the game winner in that, as Henrik Kalungi able to shut off the oncoming Bethlehem defender. Kalungi and Bilal Duckett, who were the center back pairing a year ago, basically for every single match, but it's changed this year for Mike Jeffries, as Drew Skundrich with some good distribution able to find Najem. However, Fabian Herb is a little bit out of the reach of Santi Moar, and Charlotte will claim possession. Sam Vines going back for Kalungi. Vines and Javon Watson getting the start at the left and right outside back respectively positions, and it's because both outside backs for Mike Jeffries suspended for this match. Joel Johnson shown 2 yellow cards. The first one was for time wasting. There's still a half an hour to play, and Coach Jeffries was not shying away from it. He said it was a silly, nonsensical yellow card from his wily veteran Joel Johnson. And then Donnie Smith shown a straight red in stoppage time for throwing not 1 but 2 elbows in the face of Max Lakowecki late in that match as well. So Charlotte finished the Tampa Bay game down 2 men, but we're still able to, I guess you could call it, hang on for a point, albeit they were up 2 goals. But you can't take anything away from the strike from Damo Duro late in that match. Just a screamer, and found its way on the Sports Center top 10.
It was impressive from Neil Collins and the Rowdies being able to fight back, and they showed good character in that situation. But again, the Independents can't let those things come into play. There's no reason. They should have closed that game out way before that, either on their own end or not letting things break through defensively. Can't let the emotions get the best of you. You saw that out of Donnie Smith. And Jeffrey said, you know, it's always the second one who gets caught, and Donnie Smith got into a little bit of a tussle. May or may not have been a foul.
Nanko. Mwape with some clever footwork. Ended up being Bethlehem throw-in. Herbers was looking for a call from Matt Franz, feeling that he was taken out from behind. Richie Perez getting his first touch of the evening. First start on the season. Good challenge over on the far side. Bizo was involved. Najim, so shifty with the ball at his feet. Dumping it in. Nanko, the little back heel. It's awkward for Kalungi. And Jorge Herrera, who became the all-time leading goal scorer in the history of the Charlotte Independents, with his tally against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Chambers trying to win it back. Ayman Zaid is there.
You see everybody trying to feel each out. Opening 5 minutes, not really sure everybody has settled down yet. Some long balls, choppy play to say the least between both squads. A lot of young, energetic faces on the field here. Just looking to continue their professional progression down the ranks and see exactly which way they're going to go. And that back line of Charlotte, it's good perseverance by Chris Nanko to get a corner out of that. But the back line of Charlotte is really something that, and we talked about Sam Vines being attacked, but really all of them, it's been makeshift, and it's kind of been like that all year long. So much so that Mike Jeffries electing to pull Javon Watson into that situation. We'll jump into that a little bit deeper soon.
First corner of the evening, it'll be in favor of the home side, Bethlehem. Najim standing on top of it. Goes short with Nanko. Back for Najim. Moar overlapping. Santi Moar towards the back post. The header skips wide. Richie Marquez was on the scene. He's claiming that it's either Bilal Duckett or Henry Kalungi who got a touch to it, but Matt Franz saying that it's a goal kick, and Brandon Miller is just getting his third start of the season. Former Golden Glove winner in the United Soccer League. And Andrew Dykstra has done a great job of simply just earning his spot as the #1. That could all change, though, really sometimes, as far as the goalkeepers are concerned. It's just a matter of going with who's got the hot hand, I guess. And Dykstra has played well this season. Brandon Miller, unfortunately, had a broken thumb during preseason and was sort of put behind the 8 ball with regards to playing time as Ayman Zaid creeping into Bethlehem territory. Moape. Here's Watson. Great little move. Watson still with it, right into the hands of McGuire.
That's exactly the look Mike Jeffries is looking for. They used to utilize him in the middle of the field in like a holding midfielder role, but he's so technically sound. And getting forward, you can see the overlapping run. Good job. Just keeps his head up, able to cut it back inside. You'll see that quite a few times here this evening. Some decent service from the youngster as well.
Nanko bringing it down. Trying to play a nice little 1-2. It's a good challenge from Perez. Chambers. And Nanko is down. Or rather, that was Bizo. He's back up. Santi Moar. It's a heavy touch. Cleaned up by Greg Jordan. Kalungi. Good distribution to find the Colombian Herrera. Jorge Herrera, the ageless wonder on the move. Moape. Moape still with it. Richie Perez. Armin. Working on Bizo. Pass let him down. Greg Jordan able to win it back. Javon Watson. Moape was responsible for that equalizer against the Charleston Battery a couple weeks ago. We'll never know whether he was intending to shoot or cross it, but what we do know is that it crossed the line. Nanko, after a good challenge from Herbers. And Herbert's taken down from behind by Watson. Probably a smart foul from the outside back.
Nice little professional foul as the Independents track backward, but there was no reason for that play to continue in the manner in which it did. As the ball's coming up through the midfield, Mwape has a great run down the right side of the pitch, but Ayman Zayed does a poor job coming across the top of the box to shut it down.
Nanko, decent delivery, but handled cleanly by Brandon Miller. Nanko, of course, responsible for those 2 assists down the stretch against New York Red Bulls 2. The corner kick to Matt Mahoney, and then a terrific whipped-in ball for James Chambers that just snuck all the way through the New York Red Bulls 2 defense. And James Chambers right on the doorstep to tap it home. Get a massive 3 points, or rather just a point. Deny New York Red Bulls 2 from getting 3 points. We're still in search of their first road win of the season. Another corner kick coming up for Bethlehem.
At the top of the broadcast, we talked about Chris Nanko running at the young Matt Real, but looks like Brendan Burke has actually flip-flopped sides, so Santi Moar, who's got an absolute massive amount of talent, is going to get that challenge.
Moar towards the back post. Watson only as far as Brandon Aubrey. Just dinks it back in, flicked on. Chris Nanko! Flag stays down, it's Chris Nanko in the 10th minute. It's a poacher's goal for the former Syracuse Orangemen, and Bethlehem are off and running against Charlotte.
Right on cue. The matchup comes right into the forefront of the talking points for this match. Santi Moar goes out to the corner kick spot. They run a little 2-man game. Ball gets swung to the back post. It's a makeshift effort at best, but the flick on gives Chris Nanko an opportunity to go one-on-one in the middle of the box versus guess who? Sam Vines. It's good stuff from the home squad. Solid finish by Nanko.
Well, it wasn't the prettiest goal you'll ever see from Bethlehem, but they'll take them any way they come. And the Charlotte Independents down a goal on the road at Goodman Stadium. Fabian Herbert's taken down. Fans asking for a yellow card, and they'll see one. Mustard for Henry Kalungi.
Definitely not the start that Mike Jeffries and company are looking for. And you can see him trying to play out of the back a little bit. Ball just gets stuck up underneath. And as Kalungi tracks back, he's got to do something to keep Herbers off the ball. Fabian possesses so much talent and speed going in the other direction, and that was a counterattack waiting to happen.
Well, after the Chris Nanko goal in the 10th minute, which was his 2nd of the season, Bethlehem with a chance to double their lead here in the 12th. But good-looking set-piece opportunity. Chambers on the first time. Easy work for Brandon Miller. It's not a bad idea, though, to try to get James Chambers, who can strike a ball extremely cleanly, a good look at the top of the box.
Super smart from the home squad, and you can see something they've definitely worked on during practice on the training ground. And I really like it because he sits in behind Brandon Aubrey, who's got that big frame standing at 6'3" tall. So you expect him to start to explode into the middle of the box and try and get onto one of those balls floated in. Chambers just comes right out behind him to the top of the box to try and get onto the ball played across.
Well, Mike Jeffries said that this Bethlehem team was most likely going to come out and press from the get-go. That's exactly what's happened. Charlotte, a team that loves to keep the ball, keep it on the deck, and dominate the possession statistic, but Bethlehem doing their best to try to avoid all of that. And as a result, they have a 1-goal lead, and Charlotte do look out of sorts.
They've been careless in every facet of their game, so going forth, coming back, struggling to say the least. You can see the composition of their team that's been so regular over that streak that we talked about at the top is just not there. Out of sorts is an easy way to put it.
You saying I took the easy way out?
No, not whatsoever. Never you.
Zaid, Greg Jordan. Watson getting involved. This is exactly what Jeffrey said we were going to see from the Jamaican, who has basically played everywhere along the back line in his professional career, the 34-year-old. Here he is working on Skundrich. Won by Bethlehem. Nanko gets it over for Herbers. Bethlehem off and running once again. Watson racing back. Herbers still with it. Herbers going for the curler.
We saw Fabian Herbers a few weeks ago getting the game-time goal versus FC Cincinnati when they went down to 10 men. And it was a similar situation, got put into space going in that one-on-one, but he continued the progression, put the ball out in front of him and used that speed a little bit more to his benefit. Here he tries to pull up and pick out the far post, but you can see just never really any intent behind it.
Pressure from Herbers again. Moape. Good tackle from Skundrich, who again is in the middle of winning the ball back for Bethlehem. Now it's Moape taking it back. Bending it into the path as Sam finds. Olivier Bizo is there. Of course, missed the New York Rebels 2 game after getting sent off against FC Cincinnati in the USL game of the week. Fabian Herbers providing the equalizer despite being down a man for Bethlehem, and they would finish a 2-2 draw in front of more than 20,000 in Nippert. Matt Real. Skundrich, bit of a miscue. Sam Vine wins it and finds Ayman Zaid. Richie Perez, back for the 18-year-old Vines. Bending it in, Zaid is there. Looked like he mistimed the header a little bit. It was a good opportunity for Charlotte, probably their most threatening move, but it results in nothing.
Better stuff from the visitors, good ball movement. See Zaid actually, when he's coming across, almost doesn't continue the play to his right, had a load of space, but elects to push it back outside. It's good delivery from Sam Vines. And Eamon just continues his run, tries to pick out the far post. You can see John McCarthy would not have been able to get there.
Herbers, Santimoar looking for Nanko, and cleaned up by Bilal Duckett. Watson coming towards the middle. Perez was right on top of him. And Devin, sometimes when you have players who are getting their first start, like a Jake Arman, like a Richie Perez, it might take 10, 15, 20 minutes to sort of get on the same page, because there's a difference between coming on as a substitute, which Jake Arman has done 9 times, and Richie Perez has done a couple of times, and playing a full 90 minutes or close to it.
It doesn't matter if it's your first appearance or your 30th appearance, that chemistry that everybody carries game in and game out just isn't there. It's difficult for players to get acclimated into their environment, and especially when Bethlehem jumps out so early and has such a high pace.
Bizo, great strength. Herbers, good touch towards the byline. Only finding Sam Vine. Greg Jordan finding Perez. His pass deflected by Skundrich again. continues to be mighty impressive in the middle of the park from a defensive standpoint. Herrera. Good tackle from Matt Real. Right into the path of Chris Nanko. Now it's Najim leading the charge. Matt Real, first time service, not his best, and Mwape keeps it in play.
That's something where the growth from a player, just their decision-making process maybe isn't the best, and Matt Real gets up high in a good spot, in a great position. He's got runs in the middle of the box, but everybody's locked down and there's not a lot of space there. You'd like to see Matt Real, with the opportunity in front of him, step in and isolate that going a one-on-one.
Ayman Zayed takes it, it's off the post. Cleared away by Marquez, by far the best chance of the game so far for Charlotte. And McGuire saved by the woodwork. Watson. Cut out by Brandon Aubrey. Needed to be, as Zayed was waiting on the doorstep yet again. Zayed's just one of those guys who has a nose for goal.
No, just try the near post to beat Jake McGuire. McGuire does a good job shifting across his line, but it's exactly what Mike Jeffries was telling us, getting other guys involved in the pace of play offensively. Good stuff from Ayman so far. Out of the back. We saw the second, third ball in off the corner, which led to the goal. But in transition, they're really having trouble tracking back with all the options that Bethlehem Steel are showing you going forward. You've seen Santi Moar, Chris Nanko, Fabian Herbers, all of them showing the capability of breaking this squad down. Mike Jeffries got to keep a little bit tighter line back there. You can see the communication just is off a little bit. Sam Vine stepping up a little bit high and then not tracking back.
Well, can't do that. A blatant back pass from Henry Kalungi. Brandon Miller scooped it up. A boatload of miscommunication. Bethlehem are trying to scramble before Charlotte can get set defensively. That was bizarre.
We haven't seen that at this level in a massive amount of time. Definitely a mistake by all parties involved. But Brandon Miller has to know better in that situation, especially with the runner coming so close. I mean, you're taking a chance picking it up in general, but obviously it's against the rules. He even stops right at the top of the box. Santi Moar sees it right away, tries to grab the ball. Surprised that our referee hasn't stepped in and given Brandon Miller a yellow card in this situation. And this is a good look. Unfortunately, it's going to be an indirect free kick look, but it's still a decent opportunity.
Not that Brandon Miller intentionally did it, but might have saved them from disaster, because this is a tough shot to get on frame, get past the wall. Chambers and Najim standing on it. Could be a touch stop hit type situation like we saw with Tony Cruz. Moar. Miller hangs on to it. Devin Curry, you like that?
Like that. That was impressive. You see, tell by my face, that was impressive. I like it. Nice little decoy. You see everybody standing over the ball. Chambers, we know what kind of cannon he has on him. And it's a nice little touch across. Thought Najim would have just tapped it with his foot a little bit. Remember the ball back in the old school days when I used to play. Look at that little throw myself under the bus.
Yep.
Ball had to do an entire rotation. So it was absolutely ridiculous when you got into situations like that, because once the ball went across, I mean, you had to be precise with your movements. Now you can just give it a little flick and go. Extremely impressive.
Perez. On for Armin. Sam Vine's overlapping. And there's Bethlehem's side showing great strength defensively, time and time again, and it's resulted in a lot of Charlotte turnovers in the middle of the field. And they're looking to take advantage on the counter. Santi Moar. Nanko with the lone goal in this contest as we're into the 24th minute. occupation from Bethlehem, using every inch of the wide space here at Goodman Stadium. Something that Charlotte came into this match trying to accomplish, said Mike Jeffries in our conversation with him earlier in the day. And a great mutual respect between these two coaches who don't obviously see each other a ton. And there's a bit of an age difference. I won't throw Mike Jeffries under the bus too much, as Devin just did to himself, but Jeffries has been around a bit longer than Brendan Burke has. And Brendan Burke even admitting that there are parts of his side that he likes to emulate Mike Jeffries, just because Charlotte plays so well. They play the beautiful game the way it's meant to be played, keeping the ball on the deck, keeping the ball, and being dynamic in the attacking third once they get there. And up a goal and at home, Bethlehem fully aware of the situation and are in no hurry to give Charlotte the ball back.
And Brendan was just beyond complimentary about Mike Jeffries, and talking to Jeffries about a similar situation, he kind of had similar sentiments, saying that, you know, that we weren't friends, and unfortunately in this league, you know, I didn't have a relationship with him before the USL, but you don't get a lot of opportunities to kind of nurture that relationship and let it grow. Sometimes you're only seeing guys once a year, twice a year, obviously when you play them, so it's difficult to continue on, but both squads very well organized usually, and you can see it going forward for Bethlehem Steel here so far.
Najim through for Chris Nanko. Bizo waiting in the box. It's a little bit behind him, and Bilal Duckett did not get a clean touch to that whatsoever. Real. Great touch around Moape, able to draw the free kick. Well, we know the 1v1 defending capabilities of Matt Real, but his ability to go forward and go at defenders in those 1v1 type of situations. I mean, I remember seeing him last year, Devin, in the first couple of games of the season, after he declined the opportunity to go to Wake Forest to play and sign the professional contract. Brendan Burke has something special with number 32.
You have to give Matt Real credit just in a learning environment here so far, because the first one I called him out and I said, look, you had space in front of you. You had the opportunity to challenge the defender. Why don't you go one-on-one? As the ball makes its way around the field and you continue the progression, he sees the tiny little opportunity, pushes out in front of him. And I get it, he beat the player and he got fouled a little bit, but that's something he'll keep in the back of my mind. Now it's a guessing game. Now it's a game of chess where when the ball comes across you, the defender's going, okay, what's he going to do this time? That's the best card Matt Real can hold.
Skundrich. Najim for Bizo. Good sliding challenge from Greg Jordan. Broke it up, but only as far as Chambers, who wisely gives it over to Bizo with some space. Bizo. Moore. And Herbert's called for the high foot. Credit to Charlotte when Bethlehem have tried to set up camp deep in their defensive third. They have hunkered down and created a pretty difficult shell to crack. This Bethlehem side, it's no secret, Devin, that when they find space on the counterattack, they're extremely dangerous, just given the pace of Herberts, Nanko, and company.
Like you said, Tyler, they definitely held strong when they've got into their own defensive third, but that's not necessarily the best compliment you want to be giving yourself, your team, or yourself, because, like you said, you're hunkered down. You know, everything is all hands on deck. And they definitely haven't parked the bus, but the transitional play has been very impressive by Bethlehem so far. And you could see the interchanging play. We talked about Chambers at the top of the broadcast, and Mike Jeffries wanted to shut him down. But you can see Skundrich, Chambers, and Moar interchanging in play very impressively in the middle of the park.
Moape. Never troubling McGuire, never finding the frame. Well, the Charlotte team is missing half of their dynamic duo. in Cordell Cato. As we're going to have our hydration break in the first half. Temperatures well into the 90s here in the Lehigh Valley. And even Jake McGuire, who isn't doing a ton of running, perspiring, and has not had a ton of work to do by any stretch of the imagination. Bethlehem Steel holding strong defensively and dominating the play for the most part. Chris Nanko's goal in the 10th minute right now. The difference between these two Eastern Conference sides. And while we have a moment, we'll take a look at the Bethlehem Steel, who are having a little bit of fun. And Devin, one of my personal favorite games, soccer tennis.
They allow you to play that?
Nobody allowed me to. I sort of just go and play by myself.
Oh, you were the last pick.
Yeah.
You were the last pick. It's okay. Now, it's always fun when you get into these antics on the training ground because people don't really realize how strict of a regimen you get put through on a day in, day out basis. Dietary, sleeping, training, weightlifting, and everything. So you get these inter-squad challenges, and it's fun. You can see the emotion on the boys' faces. Brendan Burke with the big smile in the background, and they've done a good job. If you get a chance, jump over to their Twitter account. It's pretty interesting. They've divided the boys up for their World Cup antics, and they've got their own squads. It's been really fun to watch. Some good ones today with the French squad, as they like to call them.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris Nanko, once he's done with his playing career, I mean, he has a future as a host. He was absolutely fantastic. And speaking of Chris Nanko and his playing career, he's able to get on the score sheet for Bethlehem. His second goal of the season. Wasn't the prettiest by any stretch of the imagination, but gets it done.
Yeah, the perseverance by Bethlehem is what kind of supersedes everybody else's efforts in this situation. As the ball is headed out, so Javon Watson, it's not the best clearance, but Zayed doesn't continue his defensive duties. So once that ball comes out, he really needs to step and provide the pressure. It allows the boys in blue to be able to knock it back into the middle of the box, and Nanko just does a good job continuing it, gets on the end of it, and just right place, right time kind of deal. Good finish by Nanko.
And credit the assist to Drew Skundrich, who gets his first sort of involvement in a goal this season. And he has flat out earned his spot in the starting 11 as of late, Drew Skundrich. And battled some injuries earlier in the season, but when we were asking Brendan Burke at, late March, early April, when Skundrich really wasn't getting much playing time because of those injuries, he said, there's a couple players you haven't seen, just wait when number 39 is able to get on the field, and he's going to bring sort of a different dynamic. And he does a lot of the dirty defensive work that allows James Chambers to be able to play the way that he does, and what Mike Jeffries was trying to prevent, dictate the tempo.
I mean, such a high praise coming out of Stanford, and he actually got drafted by the Galaxy, but that hamstring injury and the other, he had an ankle issue too. Just wasn't able to sign with them, but he actually stayed out on the West Coast, and they rehabbed him a little bit. And Brendan Burke said, look, he was high on this kid and his ability. Played some center back in college as well, and just his knowledge of the game, a high soccer IQ. That was really something that has continuously been told to us by Brendan Burke, and you keep an eye on him. You said it, I mean, he does the dirty work in the middle of the field, but he and James Chambers play off each other really well, and you've seen that kind of turn into a trio here tonight with Santi Mar. They're both rotating onto the right side and back into the middle as well. Obviously, Santi, not necessarily in a holding midfielder position, more of like a 10 roll or a 7 out on the outside, but does a good job tracking in, and Drew has been able to get into the outside and get involved in some runs going forward, more than what we've seen in the past.
Back underway after the hydration break. Bizo. Such a talented youngster, Olivier Bizo, but to get in a little bit of trouble in that game against FC Cincinnati, being sent off. But Brendan Burke, as he does with most things with his extremely young side, viewed it as a learning experience. As Najim was dragged to the floor. Matt Franz going to check on the New Jersey native, as well as Jorge Herrera, who is one of the finer sportsmen you'll find in the United Soccer League. Najim appears to be all right.
Not crazy in the 33rd minute of this match. We haven't called Jorge's name. He's been non-existent in the match so far.
He's missing his buddy. 15 goals between Herrera and Cordell Cato. That's tied for the best duo in the USL. Manu Ledesma and Danny Koenig also with 15 goals combined of FC Cincinnati. No surprise, they're the first place team in the Eastern Conference. Sam Vines, good distribution, finding Herrera. Nice little up back through. Back in for Moape. And it's going to be offside.
Well, they just got caught trailing there a little bit. And that's what happens when you don't have the opportunity to push forward a lot. Your mind becomes a little bit complacent in your efforts. It's a good step by the back line of Bethlehem as well. Smart, they see him trailing and just push their line a little bit higher, forcing him in the offside position.
Skundrich, a little bit of trouble here. Najim. Rarely see that from James Chambers, just a really poor first touch. Brandon Miller again, really putting himself in some hot water. The Forge providing the percussion here at Goodman Stadium as always. And Marquez just has to send it the other way. Well, Devin, given the lineup that the Charlotte Independents rolled out tonight, no Donnie Smith, no Joel Johnson, no Cordell Cato. Is this what we could have expected?
No, you expect better from the visitors for sure. You can see their frustration, their heads are down, the tempo's off. There's just no chemistry whatsoever. A little bit formational as well. You can see in the middle of the field, Bethlehem just having their way, doing whatever they want. Hasn't translated to as many goals as they'd liked, obviously, but you can see going forward, they've been much more the dangerous squad. Eamon Zayed really the only person who's had any chance whatsoever. Two quick little peeks, one off the post, obviously great opportunity. And then the second one, the header on the back post with Jake McGuire sliding over. But other than that, really not a lot of looks at goal. And the possession is all Bethlehem, just controlling all the tempo. And Mike Jeffries said, look, if we're going to win this game, we have to remove that from them. They haven't done any of that. Bethlehem in the 4-2-3-1, you can just see those three guys are doing a good job. Herbert's isolated up top, but he's running rampant between the back line, causing a lot of confusion. And he's allowing those other runs in behind him in the 10 spot, and then overlapping runs in the channels to be able to get in behind. If I'm Mike Jeffries, I'm considering at halftime changing my formation to kind of counteract and sit with the 4-2-3-1. Keep some guys a little bit deeper. It'll give you the opportunity to explode going forward as well, because right now it's just flat.
Well, it was extremely flat for Mike Jeffries' side in the first half in that game against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. While there were 4 goals in the second half, split right down the middle, 2-2. There was nothing, I mean nothing to write home about in the first half of the Sportsplex at Matthews. And Coach Jeffries said that he probably expected that from a Tampa Bay side who struggles mightily on the road. And obviously we're dealing with some personnel as well as some coaching changes in the past few weeks. Marcel Schaefer departing to take a technical position with Wolfsburg. Stuart Campbell parting ways with the club. Neil Collins introduced as the new head coach. And while it's great that Neil Collins is now the manager, he was an integral piece as a center back, and they had to figure some things out along the back line, decided to go with a 3-back system, and came out in the first half as this one sent along. Armin trying to square it across. Zayed was waiting there, and a corner kick coming up for Charlotte. So despite not having their best stuff in the first 38 minutes or so, have an opportunity from a corner kick to perhaps equalize before the first half. Armin, nodded away by Marquez. Santi Moar skipping to the outside. Numbers the other way for Bethlehem. Chambers to Moar's right. Nenko running down the middle. Goes for the captain. Chambers back towards the back post. Moar. Brandon Miller spills it. Retreats back to his line. And Moar's delivery deflected. Clearance only as far as Skundrich. And Santi Moar starting to feel the effects of that 95-degree weather here in the Lehigh Valley. Javon Watson showing great pace. Jamaican dispossessed by Matt Real.
I like how you say it's the 95-degree weather and you just totally negate the 75-yard run he just put in.
I've seen him make 75-yard runs before and then get back on the other end.
Yeah, he's tired for sure, but he's done that quite a few times here in the first half.
McGuire was calling for it, hoping that Bizo was going to knot it back to him. Calls for a handball, not answered by Matt Franz. Here's the Jamaican Watson, looking to get involved in the attack. Set by Herrera. Jordan. Speedy winger from Zambia. Moape. Couple of shakes and shimmies. Armin. Turning in the area. Vines.
Because of all that running he's done, Tyler, you can see Santi and Fabian have actually switched. He's just sitting on that high line trying to get a recovery in, which is difficult to do when your team starts to press in the same situation. Fabian Herbers has stepped out to that left midfielder spot. Going to try and lock down Javon Watson for the next couple minutes.
Charlotte's starting to come alive a bit more here towards the end of the first half. Watson bends it in. Chambers is there. Not bad from Najim. Bizo thought about it. Moar in for Herbers. Good first touch. Nenko. Tricky from Moar. Along for Nenko. Bizo. Whips it across, but nobody was there. Najim had pulled his run back, hoping that he was going to set it. The only one making a run towards the far post was Chambers, but nevertheless, a corner kick coming up for Bethlehem. Chambers was trying to take it on the first time. Moar. Skundrich. Thinked in. Easy pickings for Brandon Miller. Armin, not a bad idea, but McGuire is there. Fans, just because Matt Franz blows the whistle for halftime doesn't mean you need to go anywhere. Highlights and stats, a look around the United Soccer League's Week 15 as well as the Game of the Week schedule on ESPN. All coming up once we finish up the first half here at Goodman Stadium. The pace is slowed down towards the end of the first 45 minutes. Some tired legs, some tired minds. Bethlehem have worked hard for their lead and to be able to control the tempo. Charlotte, on the other hand, would certainly be against the run of play if they're able to find the equalizer before both teams head to the dressing rooms. Watson. Good ball into the channel for Moape. A little bit of a miscue there for Moape, but able to win a deep throw-in.
If you're Mike Jeffries, just a couple seconds left or so in this half, and you alluded to it earlier, Tyler. It's a great opportunity for them to maybe get something here and steal something just before halftime.
Getting word that we'll have 3 minutes of stoppage time. Added on to the initial 45. Moape towards the back post. McGuire is there and gets to it before Ayman Zaid can nod it home. Zayed was already denied by the post once this evening, as well as a glancing header that I'm sure he would love to have back. Moore gives it away. Armin in for Jordan. Ayman Zayed spilled by McGuire and cleared away. It was a giveaway from Santi Mawar that allowed Charlotte to counter.
And you can see the play in the middle of the field, just not at its best from Bethlehem coming down the stretch. That's the 4th or 5th time tonight we've seen Skundress give the ball away coming out of the back in that center midfield role. Too careless in that position. He's got to hold on to the ball. He's the one who's the focal point, he and Chambers, of coming out of the back.
Armin showing good pace, bending it in. That's on the top side of the netting.
You can hear the same message coming from the sideline in Brendan Burke. He's had a few words for Drew in the middle of the park so far. You can see Armin stepping in. It's a good ball, using that pace. He did it on the right side. He's been shifting back and forth. I like the movement out of him. Much more dynamic from the visiting squad. That's what you'd like to see continue here. Unfortunately, it really hasn't been the message in the first 45 minutes or so. Brendan Burke and the Bethlehem Steel have definitely had the best run of it.
This is going to go against Charlotte. Now, do keep in mind that Charlotte are coming off of a midweek game against the Rowdies, in which they expended a lot of energy getting their second half lead and then ultimately seeing it dissipate. With goals from Tama Kondawiri as well as Damo Duro in his Tampa Bay Rowdy debut with a 90th minute equalizer. Found its way on the Sports Center Top 10. If you haven't checked it out, you can catch a look on the USL Twitter page. Moape finding Herrera. Jorge Herrera skipping away from the first defender. Intended for Zayed, but only going over the line. And that might just do it for the first half. And that play sort of sums up what Charlotte's been able to muster up in the first 45 minutes, and that's not a whole lot more than just half chances.
Richie Marquez having a few words with the guys in the middle. Again, just used the word careless before, but you did such a good job for about 30, 35 minutes of just deciding what you wanted to do with this match. Sometimes you were going in transition, other times you were just kind of methodically making your way around the park, but making Charlotte chase and, as you said, expend their energy. Such a rough one in the middle of the week. Got to continue that on in the second 45.
Well, the first half comes to a close here at Goodman Stadium. Chris Nanko's goal in the 10th minute. Right now is the difference between these two Eastern Conference sides. The goal came by way of Drew Skundrich. It was a scramble in the box, but Nanko will take his second goal of this season happily. And Bethlehem head to the dressing room with a 1-0 lead. Devin Kerr, your thoughts?
The transition play by Bethlehem was very positive, and it was a good stuff, but there's going to be times where they get into the final third and they won't be able to do that. Continue those overlapping runs. The confusion in the back line of Charlotte, you could see it. They had trouble tracking, but the energy level of the Independents has got to be better. I get it. You had a midweek game, you're a professional. You got a job to do.
Well, both teams are unbeaten in their last 4 matches. Something's got to give unless Charlotte can find an equalizer in the second half. Don't go anywhere. Highlights, stats, a look around the USL, all coming up in just a few moments.
The heat will wear you out real quick. And we've been through some hot ones. It's very physical. You gotta take care of your body and stay hydrated because every moment matters. That's why I drink Advocare Hydrate. I've got a job to do.
Lehigh Valley's largest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles is Rothrock's pre-owned outlet, serving the Lehigh Valley for over 57 years. Our world-class facility offers premium vehicles, including hundreds of factory-certified pre-owned. Next to new cars and trucks factory-backed and warranted for 100,000 miles. A 125-point certified inspection assures security and peace of mind. And Rothrock pre-owned always means big savings, with vehicles starting at only $2,900. Over 1,000 vehicles in stock and ready to roll. Rothrock, where the cars are.
It can happen over time or in a snap. If joint or muscle pain has taken you out of the game, we can identify the root cause of your problem and develop a sport-specific treatment plan to get you moving again. Over 400 medical experts strong, the region's only nationally ranked program. That's Orthopedics in Action at Lehigh Valley Health Network.
Hey Union fans, Dunkin' Donuts has the perfect assist for DD Perks members this season. Score medium hot or iced coffee for $1 the day of every Union home game when you use on-the-go mobile ordering in the Dunkin' app. Order ahead, skip the wait in store, and go! Enroll in DD Perks today and order your next Dunkin' run on the go. Dunkin' Donuts, the official coffee of the Philadelphia Union. The Union runs on Dunkin'.
Chris Nanko and the Bethlehem Steel Football Club right now with a slight edge over Mike Jeffries' Charlotte Independents, who have come into Goodman Stadium unbeaten in their last 4, very similar to Bethlehem, but right now it is the Lehigh Valley Club who hold the advantage. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr, glad to have had you with us so far as we are moving through the halftime show, and the Bethlehem Steel are coming off of a nice little event, Devin, that really promotes just the concept of, having a professional club. Bethlehem Steel have their affiliation with the Philadelphia Union. The Bethlehem Steel have their affiliation with Reading United, who are a great PDL side, and actually a side that Brendan Burke managed at the beginning of his career, and who actually upset one of the U.S. Open Cup darlings from 2017, Christos FC, and those two playing to a 1-1 draw in the Philadelphia Union Festival.
It's a great representation of what this club is all about from top to bottom, and actually asking Brendan Burke, what is the biggest difference between now than when he and I were coming up and playing, and he said the path to the pros. It's a lot, not necessarily easier, but the resources there, more readily available to players. This is a great representation of what that is. Philadelphia Union, Bethlehem Steel, Reading United.
And this is just a great opportunity for some of the younger players like a Brendan Aronson, who's been hurt for the majority of the season. The Rafael Fontanellos, those are the type of guys that sort of get those opportunities, and it's just a great showcase of what goes on at these clubs and just trying to better the game and better the academies around this country, as Bethlehem right now with a 1-0 lead over Charlotte. And we're going to step aside for another few moments, but we'll take a look at some of the best moments of the USL's Week 15.
A salute is certainly in the works. Thank you, Marcel. Marcel Schaefer playing it. Can he service one in? Goal! Leon Taylor from Marcel Schaefer.
There's no question we've had our fair share of impressive free kicks this season.
Van Aving off the crossbar and in, and it's 1-0 Reno.
Here comes Malcolm, takes a shot, and he scores! Shane Malcolm off the free kick, puts Switchbacks FC on top.
He lines this up, he's gonna drill it hard. Curling ball, that's in, it's tied to 2-2. What a free kick.
Really looks interesting. Here is Kuzay curling it! Sensational strike from Kuzay!
Enter now, pocket of space.
Deflected strike, that's a fantastic
save.
Dykstra just robbed Dumar. Ball's still loose in the area.
Left foot, Van Okel had to come up with the save.
Good build-up play. Wakaso shoots. Great save by Nelson.
Now it's going to be Bethlehem, and out-sprawled Gomez comes up with a big 6.
In space. This is White back across for White. Saved by Crapo. Sanovic on his left. Seth Sanovic.
Shot on goal, it's in. Cameron Owasso with number 6 on the year.
Cipollone staying with it. Cipollone back across, yes! And how about North Carolina FC?
Got some help. This is a shot that finds the back of the net. Upper last man back, and it will be Reed who will score again. Reed inside the 18. Left-footed strike, and it's a hat trick. For number 30.
Shot comes on, and Akira able to use his fists.
Omar can't finish. Great save with the left foot there by Marcinkowski.
Well, sometimes those highlight packages at halftime, Devin, make me think that that's a recap of what the entire season has looked like. It just astonishes me that that was just 1 week in the USL. Saves, goals, incredible skill all around, and just another scintillating week in the USL. As the fans here at Goodman Stadium able to find some shade. And their team right now has 3 points as it stands, and we'll take a look at the Game of the Week schedule for the USL Game of the Week, as some of these games can be seen on linear networks, ESPNU, ESPN News, ESPN2. And the big one there, I think that everybody has circled. FC Cincinnati, Charlotte Independence, Queen City Cup. What do you like?
I'm going to go with FC Cincinnati. They've showed consistently that they're going to continue their reign at the top of the Eastern Conference, at least so far. I'm going to see some changes going on in Louisville.
And that game is going to be on July 18th. That's a Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we talked about these two teams and their goal-scoring capabilities through two players specifically for both Alan Koch and Mike Jeffries. Cy Cordelcato and Jorge Herrera go up against Danny Koenig and Malu Ledesma. 30 goals between those four players. And the Charlotte Independents, who were able to take care of business at home against FC Cincinnati earlier this season. Kai Fosser as well as Cordelcato with goals in that match. And I think it'll be interesting to see. There was a great game between those two last year. Jorge Herrera missing a penalty late to try to salvage a point, but was unable to. Charlotte trying to salvage a point in the second half. Stats, highlights, and second half kickoff coming up on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere.
What is it? It's the vibe of life well lived. And it's happening right now in St. Pete Clearwater. 35 miles of white sand bliss and world-class culture leads you to your best day ever. Plan your getaway at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Do-it-yourself stores may be fine for garden hoses and 2x4s, but appliances? Those guys may know these washers, but Kleckner & Sons knows these washers, and ranges, and refrigerators, and more. GE and GE Profile appliances are designed to reflect the modern approach to style, with clean lines and a streamlined look for today's kitchens. So for wood screws and wheelbarrows, go ahead, do it yourself. But for the right appliances at the right price, let Kleckner & Sons do it for you.
It can happen over time or in a snap. If joint or muscle pain has taken you out of the game, we can identify the root cause of your problem and develop a sport-specific treatment plan to get you moving again. over 400 medical experts strong. The region's only nationally ranked program. That's Orthopedics in Action at Lehigh Valley Health Network.
Almost ready for the second half here in the Lehigh Valley as the fans at Goodman Stadium and the Bethlehem Steel have a 1-0 lead over the Charlotte Independents, who are currently sitting in 5th place in the Eastern Conference table with 3 points tonight. Bethlehem could potentially move into a tie for 6th place with Nashville SC, but they're going to need to hang on for the remaining 45 minutes, and we'll take at the 45 minutes that have already happened. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. And Mr. Devin, things started early for Bethlehem. They were knocking on the door. They came out with a high press, and it eventually resulted in the Chris Nanko goal.
Richie Marquez coming off an injury, getting the start, and a little rehab start gets involved, and then going the other direction. Charlotte tried to find its way, getting involved, and Watson coming out of the back. That's what Mike Jeffries wanted. Unfortunately, that was really the only opportunity we saw from Watson coming out of the backside. Bethlehem still would continue to counter on the goal. Now it starts on the corner. The ball resets out to the other side. Not the best of clearances. Zayed doesn't step in. It's a clever back heel, and Nanko just continues to push forward, gets the tiniest bit of touches in, and is able to find the back of the net.
And you can see the youngster Sam Vines sprinting to try to get back into position. Is that a rookie mistake?
It's definitely a rookie mistake, but it's the matchup that Brendan Burke wanted. He told us, he said, we are going to go at Sam Vines, and although that was against the run of play, not an open play, and it was coming back in off a corner kick, the youngster should have known better. He should have continued his push forward, wasn't able to do so. Charlotte tried to claw their way back in. Eamon Zayed was really the only one offensively who had a couple looks. We saw his header. He rang one off the post as well. This one just missing the far post.
Zayed will certainly want that chance back, as they're not going to come much easier than that. And then Santi Moar on the other end, wrong side of the post, but good movement from Herbers.
Again, not a lot of chances for either team, and in the 22nd minute, something strange happens. We're going to see an indirect kick just inside the box. Unfortunately, Brandon Miller picking the ball up, and I like it. They use Chambers as a decoy. Little touch-up hit, rolls it outside, steps up. Moore gets involved, has a nice crack, and then right at the close of the first half, it's a good ball in. Zayed has a nice strike, but it's a solid save by Jake McGuire.
Juice Skundrich was there to be able to clean it up. It's Zayed again, who really has been responsible for any sort of opportunity that Charlotte have tried to muster up on the offensive end. First half stats, Devin, possession slightly in favor of Bethlehem. Charlotte started to get a little bit more of the ball in the second half, but Bethlehem, you could see, had some tired legs, as did Charlotte.
They were winded, and they were struggling as well, so it was nice for them to be able to reset. But look, that possession number, it's fine and it's favorable, but it's probably a little bit higher for Bethlehem Steel, but they need to continue the press and the pressure that you saw. Charlotte discombobulated in every way, shape, and form. And Mike Jeffries is a tactician. He's going to make a change. But Brendan Burke knew his game plan coming in. They need to continue it going forward.
Henry Kalungi with the lone yellow card in the first half, and it actually came relatively early in the 11th minute. And a look at some of the other games going around the Eastern Conference on this Saturday. Indy 11 playing host to Lucky Kosana and Penn FC, who have been on a tear as of late. Richmond Kickers, obviously without the services of Lee Calishaw, stepping down after 19 seasons. They will play host to North Carolina FC in a relatively geographical rivalry. FC Cincinnati hosting Ottawa Fury, who have been hot as of late. And then the rematch of the rematch of the rematch. Louisville City FC hosting New York Red Bulls 2. That has been the Eastern Conference Championship game for the past 2 years. Devin, who do you like there?
I'll be honest, I like Wollongong and Red Bull too. I mean, there's a lot going on in Louisville. They're on a little bit of a skid. Obviously, the news that James O'Connor is departing and the coaching change, but also keep an eye on the Nashville SC game. They did a good job getting into a nice streak, making their way back up the conference table, but they've dropped a few now. You know, obviously bowing out of the Open Cup play with the loss versus Lou City, but then Indy 11 going into Nashville and stunning them 2-0. It was a difficult game for Gary Smith and co.
Well, the fans are ready here at Goodman Stadium for the second half to start. We hope you are as well, as the Charlotte Independents trying to get back into the game. And one way they're going to try to do that is a bit of a defensive switch for Bethlehem is going to happen at the half. Matt Mahoney will come in and replace Marquez. And Mahoney is somebody who has started and played in every single minute for Bethlehem this season in a roster that has featured inconsistency, more consistent than anything else this season. And even going back to 2017 as well. So Mahoney will get a runaround for the second 45 minutes. Marquez will end his day. And Devin, if you're Brendan Burke, is it business as usual heading into the second half? Is there something that could change?
Just need to keep the intensity up. It faded at the end of the first half, and you said the elements came into play. It's hot, it's humid, and everybody was struggling with that. But Charlotte's got to deal with that too, so that you can't really use that as an excuse or an olive branch to extend to your players. You got to keep it going and keep focused. And Matt Mahoney obviously just stepping out a little bit, giving Marquez an opportunity. He had sports hernia surgery in mid to end of March, so the Union just trying to get him a couple reps and get his match fitness back to basics, basically. But expect Bethlehem Steel to continue pushing forward. You need to keep Skundrich and Chambers on the same playing field. Skundrich did a good job defensively, but going forward, he really struggled with his distribution.
And on the other side for Charlotte, this Mike Jeffries side, who are sporting two players who are getting their first start of the season in Jake Arman and Richie Perez. At what point are we going to see Cordell Cato?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Mike Jeffries told us that he needed help, and he's tired. I mean, the guy just runs all game long, every game, and obviously he's getting goals and assists and all the accolades that are great for him, but he needs a rest as well, and that can come from in-game tactics where someone else just steps in and helps him out, and also the occasional 45 or 90 minutes off. Sometimes that night off just gives you that refresher course that can not only uplift you, but your team going forward, but again, someone else has to step up.
Well, we'll flip sides in the second half. Bethlehem in their Navy kits will move from left to right. Charlotte in their all-whites will move from right to left, and we're underway at the second half here at Goodman Stadium. Matthew Franz gets us underway. Tyler Terrence along with the incomparable Devin Kerr, as we will have a winner, a loser, or potentially two proud winners of a point each at the end of these 90 minutes. We'll just have to wait and find out from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Charlotte less than impressive in the first half. I think that Mike Jeffries would be the first to tell you that, as Chris Nanko's got us started in the 10th minute. But no scoring after that. Moar getting on the end of this header. Plenty of moves up his sleeve. Santi Moar! What a start for Bethlehem in the second half. Santi Moar putting the moves on. And he just continues to impress week after week. It's a 2-0 lead for the Bethlehem Steel, and they've come out roaring here in the second half.
This is a young man where if you follow his career, someone who didn't know what he was going to do, ended up at Pfeiffer University, and coming through this program, Brendan Burke saying that he is possibly the most talented player he has ever had technically. He shows it off right here. Absolutely sensational in the one-on-one situation, breaks it down, and it's absolutely superb from the Spaniard.
Third goal of the season for Santi Moar. It was as simple as a flick-on header that unlocked the Charlotte defense, who looked sluggish in the first half. They picked up right where they left off in the second. Moar now with 3 goals and 3 assists on the season. That's now tied for the team lead with Derek Jones. And we did mention that substitute before. Matthew Mahoney replacing Richie Marquez, and the substitution brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Health Network. What a start to the second half for Brendan Burke's club. Meanwhile, on the other side for the Charlotte Independents, Mike Jeffries and his staff and their players left scratching their head on the road. And also Alex Martinez coming in and replacing Mutsaya Mwape. Header only cleared as far as Sam Vines. Herrera. Back for Sam Vines. He's onside. Vines electing to put it on frame himself. And Devin, you have a bit of a perplexed look on your face.
Just trying to figure out what he was doing. I mean, he did such a good job moving forward, and he has all the space in front of him and just gifts it to McGuire. I mean, puts a little bit of oomph into it, do something, but if you're going to play the ball across the 6, be aggressive. Put it across the 6. If you're going to have a strike, put your laces on it, put your head down, put some power behind it. He did neither.
Well, such is the life of a rookie sometimes, who's just trying to figure out his way through the USL and through what a professional schedule looks like. Making his 13th start of the season after Donnie Smith was shown a straight red in stoppage time in that game against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And talking with Mike Jeffries, Donnie Smith is the #1 left back, but obviously with the suspension, Sam Vines getting another opportunity. Joel Johnson also suspended for this match, and Javon Watson moved from that center back position into a more wide roll along that back line. Matt Real. Falls for Moar. Armin takes it away. Herrera, clever little touch over for Alex Martinez. Martinez along for Armin. Jake Armin on the move. Stood up extremely well by the captain, James Chambers. Javon Watson, great defensive play. Gives it away. There's Matt Mahoney striding forward, fresh off of his first professional goal. It's New York Rebels 2, off the set piece from Chris Nanko. Santi Moar. Well, that would have been special. He's fun to watch.
He really is impressive. I mean, the footwork. That's one of the things. When he gets into these isolated situations, just watch his feet. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. He goes forward and touch inside, touch outside, a little pirouette.
Moar magic.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Thought of it in the shower last night. Good win from Bilal Duckett. Alex Martinez trying to put his stamp on the game after coming in at halftime. Greg Jordan. Martinez. Santi Moar. A little bit of miscommunication between him and Fabian Herbers. Herbers gave a couple of different looks as to which run he was going to make. At the end of the day, it's Brandon Miller who collects.
Good tackle by James Chambers. That's one of those things that doesn't show up on the stat line or on the box score. Your holding midfielder just stopping the attack as they come down the right side of the channel. He sees it, starts to push his pace. James isn't exactly known for being a track star, but does a good job getting out into the wing and being able to stop the progression of the attack from Charlotte Independence.
Here's Herrera. Greg Jordan. In towards the back post, Zayed couldn't get there. But Alex Martinez can. Martinez sends it in, parried. Loose in the box, Zayed trying to turn and fire. And a corner kick coming up for Charlotte, who is starting to put some pressure on Jake McGuire in the Bethlehem back line, but nothing tangible just yet.
One of those opportunities where formationally you would have a trailing runner in that situation. The midfielder had pushed so high that when Zayed tries to get in here and bring this ball down, if you look at the top of the box, he only had one option available, Armin, but even then couldn't get the ball out to him. You need someone else right at the top of the 18 to be able to lay that ball off.
Herrera on the corner, will be an outswinger. Good ball in, it's loose. Bizo got just enough on it. Alex Martinez. Back in. Herrera nods it down and McGuire collects it through the traffic. Well, that second goal has certainly woke up Mike Jeffrey's side, but maybe a little bit too late at this point. Obviously, still plenty of time left, and if Bethlehem's performance against New York Rebels 2 is any indication of what could happen late in the game. But the Charlotte side, at least up until this point, just does not look like they're a team that's going to score.
Well, last week in the USL, not just in that game, we saw it quite a few times. St. Louis and their dramatic comeback. Obviously, Wall Fall on that ridiculous free kick. Set piece master for sure. But again, it goes back to what we talked about, Tyler. They just, again, the first half was bad, and we both agree on that. But the second half, you come out, got a little bit of energy, but that's after the goal. You can't shut off for 2-3 minutes and then decide, okay, now it's time to play.
Krasnenko still playing along for Fabian Herbers, completely scuffed the shot, going for the seconds, but Henry Kalungi breaks it up. Tell you what, Brandon Aubrey and this Bethlehem Steel backline really do not get enough credit for their ability to win balls in the air between Aubrey and Mahoney. And while they are relatively physically imposing, standing at 6'3", 6'2", I mean, you look at some of the other center backs around the league, and Joseph Farrell stands at 6'5". I mean, there's some other really, really big bodies. A Forrest Lasso of FC Cincinnati. I mean, these two do an excellent job in the air.
You have to remember, developmentally, they're also not there. The weight is different. The muscular structure just hasn't developed at the same rate as a 25 or 26-year-old has. And they do a good job. And one thing that you and I haven't addressed yet, Tyler, is not only are they doing a great job just size stature-wise, but the chemistry. They've got much more of a consistent lineup this year, especially in the past 5-6 games, hence the great results for some pretty quality squads. We asked Brendan about that and said, listen, you know, why has that been the case? And he's just been fortunate, you know. Injuries haven't been in play.
Armin, nothing doing.
The Union not really imposing their will as much as we've seen in the past, sending as many players to be put into the starting lineup. And also the developmental academy was in the playoff system, so he didn't have the younger guys, 16, 17-year-olds who aren't on USL contracts coming up. But he said, you know, that's going to probably change in the next couple of weeks, and you'll probably see them more. You're going to see youngsters like Brendan Aronson coming back from injury. You'll see some other guys coming out of the academy that are going to be featured more frequently. So Bethlehem Steel need to take advantage of these opportunities while they have them, because down the road, they're probably not going to exist.
More challenging. Najim on the first defender, linking up with Santi Moar, already with a goal to his name tonight. How good is he? More Moar magic, still with it. Santi Moar off for Najim. It's back out to Bizo. Trying to skip around Alex Martinez, does so beautifully. And a corner kick coming up for Bethlehem, but their array of young talent on full display.
And he touches that ball about 40 times in a 10-yard radius. You could see left foot, right foot, inside out, change of pace, change of direction. Everything to allow himself the opportunity to push forward, but then also, like you saw, the overlapping run coming on the right. It's ridiculous stuff from Bethlehem.
I'm sure Bizo is itching to get back onto the field after having to sit out that game against New York Red Bulls too. Nanko on top of the corner, another outswinger. Greg Jordan gets a touch, Armin. Alex Martinez wins it. Skipping away from Najim. Alex Martinez encouraging Jorge Herrera forward. Looking for delivery, and that is right in, look like to the midsection of Brandon Aubrey. You can hear the ooze from the crowd here at Goodman. That certainly doesn't feel good on a hot day like this.
That'll knock the steam out of you, to say the least. And you can see him just running it off. He's been so good all game long. They would hate to lose him, but obviously it's just a deflection coming off the middle part of the torso. He'll be fine in a minute or two.
Vines. Alex Martinez stripped by Santi Moar. Bizo just stepping around Martinez like he's a cone. Martinez wrapping him up. The crowd and some Bethlehem players are asking for a card for Alex Martinez, but it's only about 12 minutes new to this game, committing his first foul.
Given the situation, Matthew Franz giving a little leeway there, and that's probably what it is, a little grace period. Other referees would definitely step in and show him a card. It was somewhat of a professional foul.
Moar. Long for Matt Real. Bethlehem really stretching the field now. Real working on Watson. Puts the brakes on. Chris Nanko. Santi Moar from distance. Not a bad idea. Olivier Bizo was making a nice little overlapping run on the near side, but Santi Moar playing with plenty of confidence after his goal in the first minute of the second half. Elected to go for frame, but couldn't necessarily find it.
That's one of those situations where
Herbers gets it over for Moar. Bizo in the box. Santi Moar tries to slide it along, claims for a handball not given by Matthew Franz. We'll try to get a look at that handball shout next chance we get. Meanwhile, Bethlehem continue to ask questions of the Charlotte defense, which has already conceded twice tonight. Real. Nanko. More defending to do for Charlotte. And Devin, we'll get another look. What do we think here?
We had just talked to Santi a minute ago and coming through, and nah, that's not going to the spot in that situation. Not whatsoever. Alex Martinez going to ground. Body's next to his midsection. Smart, keeps it intact and close to his body. Takes a tiny deflection off the torso and comes up, and obviously Santi in the attacking mode wants it. Everything seems to be bouncing his way tonight, so just trying to get one more out in front.
Well, we are getting word that the other half of the Charlotte dynamic duo, Cordell Cato, is going to come on, and it'll be Greg Jordan making way for the Trinidad and Tobago native as Richie Perez is taken down. And that substitution will take place now.
Don't be surprised now if Jake Arman steps inside a little bit. They've moved him into a central role in the past, so Cato obviously has that explosive speed, and they've been lacking that on both wings. Martinez providing a tiny bit of a spark, but needs to continue to try and impose his will on this match. And Cordell Cato, you're probably going to see something out of him right away.
Well, the Charlotte team needs an injection of life, and who better to bring it than Cordell Cato? Cato with 8 goals on the season, just 1 behind the league leaders, Thomas Enevoldsen, as well as Carlton Belmar. Also on level terms with Chris Cortez of Phoenix Rising, who scored the lone goal in Rick Shantz's club's win over Orange County. Last call, Devin.
I'm ready. I haven't had one, how can I have my last?
Chris Nanko trying to put on the afterburners, but he runs in to somebody who's of equal pace in Javon Watson. However, Watson takes a heavy touch out of play, and Chris Nanko gets rewarded for his efforts in the form of a corner.
You can see the game just slowing down a little bit here. 63rd minute, and some substitutions starting to come in. I'd be surprised if Brendan Burke doesn't go to his bench at least one more time.
Ball in for Najim. Najim on the turn. Oh, it was inches wide, centimeters. And more good work from Bethlehem.
And that's the thing. You can see like the game, it's slowing down. And with that, the tempo, the progression from Charlotte has been shut off. And mentally, just become distracted a little bit. Najim gets a tiny little peek at the far post and tries to get there. Brendan Miller has definitely beaten that situation. But again, you see it, that minute or two where they've pushed their will a little bit, and just like that, boom, their opposition starts to go the other direction. That's why Charlotte has continuously put themselves in the passenger seat and allow someone else dictating the direction of this match.
Well, after the second goal, Bethlehem have no intentions of playing the ball negative. Everything is going forward. Santi Moar can't get there. Henry Galungi steps in. Matt Francis play on. Chambers sprays it over for Olivia Bizo. Bizo chopping it back. Nanko. It's beautiful football from Bethlehem. Santi Moar getting it on his right foot. Moar! And it sprays all the way across, out for a throw-in. But Bethlehem are buzzing right now.
And how about the first touch from Santi Moar as this ball makes its way all the way across. Again, it's that interchanging, overlapping play, and you can see Charlotte once again, just the runners not tracking correctly, takes a deflection to Watts, and then whoop, right around him, nice touch, and unleashes a laser to the far post. Just cut a little bit short.
When did Chris Berman start working for the USL?
No, that wasn't Berman. Bierman.
Matt's Bierman?
Yeah.
Of course, referring to the Orange County winger. Bizo. Bethlehem just having fun out there now. I'll tell you what, this Bethlehem team did owe Charlotte one. Last time Charlotte came to Goodman, it was a 4-0 win for Mike Jeffrey's side. It was a game in which Bethlehem brought a number of players over from the Philadelphia Union, their MLS partner. And it was a bit of an odd game, and Charlotte just came out and just picked apart this Bethlehem side. And it was really embarrassing at home for Brendan Burke's club, and one of the few games that Brendan Burke really just did not sit well with him in 2017. And Bethlehem have come out and played this as sort of a vengeance game. Chambers almost gives it away. Here's the captain finding Santi Moar. More good work from the Spaniard. Bizo. Good sliding challenge from Sam Vines. Race to the ball. And that's a bit silly from Bizo, as it was probably going out of play regardless. It'll come out the other way.
That's a rough one. Sam Vines' shoulder is going to dig right into this, just outside the pitch itself, and you can see him. He goes in rough. Oh, gets really lucky. There's that extra piece of grass they've put in for the third referee. And you know, you said they owe Charlotte one. They owe quite a few teams one now, because if you look at their performances and track back over the past couple of matches, you know, outside of the Ottawa game, good one versus Indy 11 and North Carolina FC, but then Louisville came to visit. They dominated that match. They had a couple spells in the second half, maybe 15, 20 minutes, where Louisville had an opportunity, but James O'Connor and company couldn't close out. That finished at 0-0, and then the FC Cincinnati game. Red Bull 2 was, I get it, that it was flat, no composure whatsoever, but they showed character in the final 10 minutes to get a result. And at FC Cincinnati, they were in the driver's seat there as well. Bizo, unfortunately, in the 53rd minute, made a terrible decision. That was just youth coming into play a little bit. Burke had a conversation with them, but still, like, they are showing that they can compete at the highest level in this league on a regular basis.
It looks like Jan Ecker is going to come on for Mike Jeffries as well. And that'll be the third and final substitution. And Nanko clipped right in front of Brendan Burke and the Bethlehem Steel bench. And it's going to force Matt Franz to go to the pocket. And it'll be mustard for the Jamaican veteran.
Some frustration from the outside back stepping up, and just a little ball on the sideline, steps up, comes in behind Nanko, and he catches him with his knee a little bit. Charlie Horse just following through.
He sold that a little bit, no?
Yeah, by a little bit. He's got a Tony Award, not an Academy Award.
Tony?
He gets a Tony there, right?
Tony Temple?
Tony Touch.
Tony Montana?
Tony the Tiger. Don't do this. Don't go down that path.
Jan Ecker comes on for Charlotte. It's Richie Perez who sees his night come to an end in the 69th minute in his first start of the season. Herbers. Numbers arriving. Skundrich. Bizo gets a fortuitous bounce. Whips it across, and some defending to do for Bilal Duckett. And Charlotte just continue to be pinned back in their own defensive third. Bethlehem continue to knock on the door.
It really gives you a look at the consistency that they really try and push into the program here. And even when it takes that domino effect touch and it's kind of tic-tac-toe, ends out on the fortune of Bethlehem Steel. And it's just a good ball whipped into the box. No trailing runners. But still, like you said, how they're 70th minute and they haven't pulled off the gas at all.
Najim, not his best corner. No fall for Chris Nanko, however. Nanko back in. Aubrey challenges. Kulungi wins. Armin. Devin, you were right. Armin did slide into a bit of a more central role. We haven't even seen Cordell Cato touch the ball since he's come on. That's mainly because Bethlehem has dominated possession and dominated this 71 minutes. Matt Real, a big sweeping ball. It was intended for Bizo. It asks a lot of Sam Vines. And the offside flag is going to be up. Iman Zayed came from an offside position.
And go back to the spacing in the middle of the field for Charlotte Independence. I understand that there's long balls being sprayed all over.
Skundrich. Bizo. Which way is he going? Skundrich. It's in for Skundrich. His first professional goal to go along with his first professional assist. Quite the day for number 39, and the Bethlehem Steel have 3 goals at home and most likely will have 3 points against the Charlotte Independence.
This is one of those times you just kind of take a step back and look at the game as a whole. Drew Skundrich at the top of Brendan Burke's list. High and mighty in all the praise that he brings and his versatility, his ability to get forward, his ability to sit deep. And you see, it's just another great representation of Bethlehem Steel and their offense going forward, pushing it outside, makes its way to the back post. And Drew Skundrich, enjoy it, buddy. You never forget your first one.
Well, right after goal number 3 for Bethlehem, they'll earn themselves a hydration break, an opportunity to quite literally soak it in. And for Charlotte, maybe try to figure something out to muster something up. And these were the standings heading into tonight. We mentioned Bethlehem with 3 points can jump into a tie for 6th place with Nashville. Well, obviously are playing tonight, but got to wait for some other results to happen around the league. This is the earlier game of the Saturday slate. And for the Charlotte Independence, they'll continue to sit in 5th place unless one of those teams leapfrogs them from below. But basically from 3rd or 4th place down to 10th or 11th, it is really jumbled. Goals from Nanko, Moar, and now Drew Skundrich. And we'll take a look at all of them. And Devin, none of them have really been all that pretty. I mean, Santi Morris is more of just an individual effort, but Bethlehem just finding ways to get it done at the end of the day.
You can't take anything away from the flick by Drew Skundrich. It's pretty to the back post, and it's a solid finish by Nanko. And going the other direction, Santi Moar, like you said, a little bit of individual brilliance and his one-on-one capability in open space, in confined spaces. He showed us so many looks here tonight, but again, defensively, it has been an absolutely abysmal effort by the Charlotte Independents, and that's just not the back four. That comes from the goalkeeper, the guys in the middle of the field, and even Zayed tracking back at times and Herrera helping out. Every single one of those guys needs to walk off this pitch tonight and figure out exactly what they want out of the next match, because you struggled last game, you gave up the late goals and let Red Bull 2 get back into it. What now? Or excuse me, Tampa Bay Rowdies, what now? What are you going to do? Because this performance isn't what you want. And if you take a look at the numbers from last year, eerily similar, like really, really similar to where they finished and what they did. Now, they had that great run in the middle of the year, but closing out, they couldn't buy a goal. Some stretch of 273 minutes or something along those lines before they were able to slot one away. And again, see it going forward, it's just uninspiring in every situation.
Herrera long for Vines, sends it across, and McGuire handles it. It's another situation where Sam Vines has been put in a really good spot to try to make something happen, whether it's a shot on frame or a pass, and he has gotten caught in between. I mean, if he's going to go one direction, he needs to go 100% in that direction.
Pick it. And you're in a position right now, obviously early on in the game, in the 0-0, was it a shot, what is a pass? He didn't really put anything behind it, but look, you're 3-0 down. Spark something for your squad. You know, you get a look at goal, why not have a crack? Test Jake McGuire. He's really had no issues in the back whatsoever, nothing threatening at all. So you've got to look, have a crack. You make a mistake, it's okay, you're young. You have the ability to, you know, to do that.
Well, they lost their last 5 straight heading into the postseason last year, the Charlotte Independents. They stumbled into the postseason and eventually fell to the Rochester Rhinos off a deflection goal from DeFreger at the Capelli Sports Stadium. And speaking of goal scoring, Devin, I mean, this is a side that relies on 2 guys to supply basically half of their goal scoring output, if not more. And you look at a guy like Alex Martinez, he hasn't scored since the last time Charlotte was in Bethlehem, which was July 29th of 2017. I mean, talk about a guy who we expected to sort of step into maybe his own role when his brother Enzo Martinez went on to the Colorado Rapids. And Mike Jeffries has said that he's gotten some other things out of Alex Martinez with regards to creation, but I mean, there needs to be some other support besides Herrera and Cato when it comes to scoring. Decent opportunity here, broken up by Aubrey, and Bethlehem will come out the other way.
And when you and I chatted with Mike, you know, I asked him, it wasn't about this game, it was a previous game that you and I did versus a different opponent, and I asked about 2 guys on their squad. I said, if you remove these 2 players, what are they? And he said, well, look, you can pretty much say that about any squad. I'm going to respectfully disagree, because other teams find ways. And like you said, if you roll through the Independents' lineup, there's plenty of players here that can get involved more. Now, Jan Akra has 3 goals and 2 assists, but that's not consistent enough. You need something out of him. He said he's going to combine with Herrera. I haven't seen the 2 of them interchange at all.
Here's Cato really for the first time driving at a defender 1v1, which he just flat out loves to do. Herber's going the other way. I mean, this is a Charlotte team that relies on 2, 3, 4 guys to get the bulk of their scoring done. Bethlehem Steel have 13 different goal scorers on the season. Their leading goal scorers are Derek Jones and Santi Moar with 3 goals each. I mean, is that just completely different style of play? Is that the ball being shared more often? Or is that just Jorge Herrera and Cordell Cato just having that much more of a knack for finding the back of the net than the rest of their teammates?
So make no mistake about it, Cato and Herrera are extremely talented, but it's a discipline that's employed throughout this organization.
Bizo back for Moar. Contact, but no call.
They're also put into a situation where if you don't perform, you're not going to progress. If you look at the Union, Reading, Bethlehem Steel, and that's tiered within that organization for a reason, but if you can't perform with Reading, you're probably not going to get a look at Bethlehem Steel, and so on and so forth as the pipeline continues. Charlotte has an excellent youth academy, but they are the Independents. You know, you want to make your way to the Charlotte Independents. They've kind of got the luxury, we'll say, of slacking off a little bit and don't necessarily have someone over their shoulder.
Aubrey elevating for the header and over the bar.
There's just so much talent within this entire organization. Richard Graham set up the YSC Academy in Wayne, Pennsylvania, and these guys have the opportunity, starting at a very young age, grades 8 through 12, and they bring them in and they dictate their learning curve, what their studies are going to be, and you've seen it funnel through, and it's Anthony Fontana. You've got Derek Jones. I mean, all of these guys, I mean, they call them the Fab Five, or the Philly Five, excuse me, and they all look up to him. You don't have that in Charlotte. That's okay. That's not, it's just a different route, but you have to find other ways to get it done, and obviously they're not capable of it at this point in time.
Aubrey with a terrific challenge. Could spark the counterattack the other way. Herbers sent in. Fabian Herbers on the move. Herbers! It's 4 for Bethlehem. They're just having fun with it now. The Bethlehem Steel, who saw Charlotte Independence come into Goodman a year ago and put 4 up on them in their home stadium, dishing it right back in 2018. And now it's Fabian Herbers getting in on the mix, and it's 4-0 to the home side.
And it's great to see. It really is. Sometimes you'll see teams put themselves into these situations, and we've referenced it before. Last 10, 15 minutes, they turn off a little bit and allow someone to creep back in. But it's good transitional play once again, struggling all night long, the Independents. Fabian Herbers going the other direction. As you said, Tyler, 4 for Bethlehem, 4 for Fabian, and it's absolutely an impressive performance front to back for the home squad.
And now Fabian Herbers moves into a 3-way tie for the team lead, joining Moar and Derek Jones. Not a bad night to be a member of the Bethlehem Steel. They just flat out love to share the ball. Good challenge from Matt Real. Even up 4-0 into the 81st minute. It's Bethlehem defense not willing to concede. And now just acres of space opening up. Bizo, positive touch forward. Olivier Bizo. He's looking to get on the score sheet. Bizo! Looks like it was deflected. Maybe not. Goal kick coming up. And Olivier wanted to join in on the fun as Bilal Duckett came up extremely lame after that challenge. And it looks like Tony Temple, 17-year-old from Liberia, going to come on here. And he will replace Chris Nanko, who got things started in the 10th minute. And that substitution will take place momentarily. And I guess Jake Arman was issued mustard as frustration continues to mount for the Charlotte side. And Devin, I think it needs to be mentioned that there are a lot of pieces missing for Charlotte. Obviously, they had that midweek game against Tampa Bay, and you said that, it's no excuse and that there's still plenty of talent on the roster, and especially a lot of young talent, much like Bethlehem. But I mean, you're missing the likes of Kai Foster, who's played in Champions League before. You're missing the likes of Lee Jung-soo, who scored goals in the World Cup. I mean, there are plenty of pieces that are not playing tonight just due to rotation, as this substitution is now going to take place and is brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Health Network.
Let's forget the variables with regard to weather. Coming into this match, I told you this game would be 4-0. You believe that?
No.
No, definitely not. This is a matter of pride now. You got 10 minutes left in this game. It's been terrible for the most part. We had a tiny glimpse in the second half after the second goal, but it's been terrible for the most part for the Charlotte Independents. Show a little pride. That patch on your jersey and on your chest means something, and you want to show your manager that you care. I haven't seen that from a single person on the field for the Charlotte Independents. Make no mistake about it. Mike Jeffries told us that emotionally he likes to remove that, and you referenced it. He doesn't always like to talk to his squad. I can almost guarantee they're going to get a stern talking to after this, because you cannot put yourself in the 5th position in the Eastern Conference with a squad, and I get it, it's close points-wise, but you can't put yourself with a squad that's that far away and let them manhandle you in the manner that it has here so far today.
Well, Chris Nanko has certainly shown a lot of pride for this Bethlehem Steel squad over the past couple of years. He comes off, and you got a glimpse as to what he was able to produce here at Goodman tonight. And now Tony Temple will get an opportunity to perhaps put one in the back of the net and pile on. As what Devin has mentioned, it's been a relatively embarrassing performance for Mike Jeffrey's side, and one that they're going to want to put in the rearview mirror as soon as possible.
And you can see Charlotte has gone to a 3-back system, trying to push numbers up a little bit, and this is going to get difficult as well because the fresh legs come on.
Here's Moar being an irritant along the back line, and Brandon Miller, fortunate that just falls into his hands. How about the effort from Brendan Burke's side, even up 4-0 in the 85th minute. I mean, this is a young group that just simply smells Independent's blood in the water right now. Cato, not a bad idea forward, hoping for Herrera. And Mike Catalano will be the final substitution for Brendan Burke this evening. And he will replace Santi Moar, who put on another skillful clinic. And the substitution brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Health Network. And Santi Moar quite rapidly becoming a fan favorite here at Goodman. Here's exactly why.
And you see the one-on-one here, but it wasn't just the goal, it was what he did, and his presence felt all over the pitch. He did a good job. He controlled the tempo, controlled the pace, moved inside, moved outside, and he enabled passing lanes and channels to open up for other people around him, and that's why they were able to progress down the field. He was just a puppeteer all afternoon long. And Tony Temple, on the substitution just before, when he comes on, he's an interesting one to watch because we saw him come on in the Lou City game, and he has a boatload of pace. He's got good soccer IQ, but unfortunately his spatial awareness is really lacking. Brendan Burke said that's something that he really has to work on. A lot of times going forward in transition, he was tucked way too far inside, and you can see him right now. He's holding decent shape, but when they explode going forward, he has to come out and allow himself to have the opportunity to put that space in front of him. Something to keep an eye on for the final 5 minutes of this match.
Cato ripped down from behind by Mahoney as we're into the 87th minute. Cato. Does that count as a save if you just trap it with your feet?
Yep.
Fair enough.
Ron, you listening? Nope.
Goes all the way back for Brandon Miller. That was a back pass, and this time he doesn't pick it up. So you saw that in the first half. Cato looking on the right side of Bizo. Good matchup here. Speed against more speed. Cato. Martinez, Tony Temple in hot pursuit. Ekra. Corner kick coming up for Charlotte. Still some time to try to salvage something here and avoid getting shut out on the road. Something holding up the ensuing corner. The ball in from Vines. Cleared away by Aubrey. He's played a magnificent game at the back. There's Catalano using those fresh legs to his advantage.
The peanut gallery of the Forge getting involved a little bit at the close of this game. Gotta love the enthusiasm, up 4-0. Just still asking the referee to be a little bit kind in his gestures towards the visiting opponent.
Heckler's gonna heckle. And we're getting word from down on the field that we'll have 2 minutes of stoppage time, added on to the 90. And the ball just popping up on James Chambers, and he smacks himself in the face.
Oh,
bad James.
Oh, James, bad boy.
So you mentioned Mike Jeffries giving a stern talking to his side. Who gets more of a stern talking to? The Charlotte Independents after a result like this on the road, as we'll get to this in a moment, or one of your dogs when they tear something up in the house?
Which dog?
Trace.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's in trouble. Got to go full deep voice on that one.
Cato, decent ball in, nodded away by Aubrey. You're so soft when it comes to Finney.
Finney, he's finicky. He's Finnegan. He's too sweet. He's a person. Trace. He's something. We don't know what he is.
Ball in, Ekra is there, but it's over his head, and Bizo just safely plays it out of play.
That's why I've got Uncle Tyler, though. Uncle Tyler comes over, and I don't have to yell because they just run to you, and everything's fine.
Yeah, no, I ended up with about 10 scratches on my face.
They love scratches. I rarely yell at them. It's the voice.
You're too much of a mushball with them.
I'm a mushball. I love them. They're my boys, you know.
Fine sends it in, and offsides on a corner. Don't see that every day.
I'm going to need the linesman to explain that one to me. Where's VAR when you need it?
It's in Russia.
Yeah. Man, I wish I was there.
Yeah, I'm glad to be doing this game with you, too.
No, I didn't mean it like that, but...
How did you mean it?
I mean, I'd rather be there than here with you.
You know what?
No, you know, it's one of those things every 4 years. I mean, it is the best way to see the World Cup. I mean, every 4 years you take a big trip. Obviously watching, you and I would both agree, the best sporting event in the world, and that is a rough challenge coming down the stretch on Eamon Zayed.
Bizo showing a yellow.
It's a good opportunity for Mike Jeffries and his squad to maybe gain a little bit of momentum to build on for next match. Again, tonight, the question mark will be what happened, what was in their water, pregame meal, trip, everything. But you've still got an opportunity to grab some sort of positive at the end of this match. So act like you care a little bit. Alex Martinez standing over the ball. You know, put something in the box, show a little bit of enthusiasm and passion, run up underneath it, and try and get something on frame.
Martinez dumps it in. Kalungi, big save from McGuire. It hits off the post. Clean sheet still intact. Vines back in. Only as far as Cato. Cato towards the back post. Zayed is there. Back across, and it's Herrera. No clean sheet to be had for Bethlehem. Jorge Herrera able to put one home. And the Charlotte Independents have something to bring back to the Sportsplex at Matthews.
It's a good response from the visiting squad, and wasn't really impressed with the free kick start, but it's a good job. Ball makes its way all the way over. Eamon Zayed, we saw him in the first half, and much more of a presence, but he uses that big frame to get it back across the box, and the trailing run, it's smart. That interchanging play is really what this squad has been missing all night long, and unfortunately, it's right before the death of the whistle.
That's going to do it. Matthew Franz brings this one to a close, and the Bethlehem Steel put on a clinic with a slight blemish in stoppage time. But 4 different goal scorers for Brendan Burke's side. Pending other results in the league, they will send themselves into a postseason position after a big performance against the Charlotte Independents, who continue about their strugglesome ways. And the Bethlehem Steel all smiles after really putting on an offensive and defensive clinic. They were moments away from a clean sheet, but Jorge Herrera sneaks one in stoppage time. Devin Kerr, your thoughts?
It's going to be frustrated for Mike Jeffries because now they've got to go to Indy, home to Nashville, FC Cincinnati, and Louisville, all 4 of those games in a row. You're going to have to run that gauntlet after this output here. So he's going to have some words there. But how about that? Drew Skundrich, first professional goal. Love the cheeky back heel on the assist. But an absolutely amazing performance from every single player on the pitch. And you have to give credit to the coaching staff. They had these guys ready.
Nanko, Herbers, and Moar getting in on the scoring action along with Drew Skundrich, as the fans here at Goodman had themselves a night, as did the players. Nanko got it started in the 10th minute, and then it was 3 goals in the second half for Brendan Burke's side, who come away with 3 points. Not the best of days for Mike Jeffries' side. We'll be back in a moment with postgame.
School in the Lehigh Valley works to maximize the potential of the child with learning disabilities through excellence in education. Join us in supporting our very own Sean Redmond, Hillside's art teacher, as he prepares to hike for Hillside by completing the Appalachian Trail hike.
Our goal is to raise $100,000 in support of student scholarships at the Hillside School.
To donate to the Student Scholarship Fund and support Sean's journey, visit hillsideschool.org or follow us on social media.
It can happen over time or in a snap. If joint or muscle pain has taken you out of the game, we can identify the root cause of your problem and develop a sport-specific treatment plan to get you moving again. Over 400 medical experts strong, the region's only nationally ranked program. That's Orthopedics in Action at Lehigh Valley Health Network.
Back here at Goodman Stadium, full time, and the Bethlehem Steel are all smiles. A 4-1 win over the Charlotte Independents. They're now unbeaten in their last 5 matches, with a win against Charlotte, draws against Louisville, New York Rebels 2, and FC Cincinnati, as well as a win over the North Carolina Football Club. And right now, Brendan Burke's side is flying high and buzzing if they put on a clinic in these 90 minutes. Tyler Terrence, along with former German pro Devin Kerr. And Devin, right from the start, it was Bethlehem applying a ton of pressure. Chris Nanko got it started in the 10th minute.
Quiet start for Charlotte, and they just did a good job. Brendan Burke obviously saying the tempo needed to be high, and you saw the energy level was very different between the 2 squads, and they just continued to push forward. Charlotte had a couple of responses here and there, but nothing really to talk about. 46th minute, we saw Santi Moar just continuing to push the pace. Fabian Herbers, Santi Moar, back post, take a bow.
Moar, his 3rd goal of the season, moving into a tie for the team lead. And all it was a simple flick-on header. And this Bethlehem team was off and running in the second half. That would make it 2. And then Olivier Bizot putting on all of the moves. And then Drew Skundrich, first professional goal. Devin, you said it, you never forget your first.
And the ball comes all the way across, and we saw him carry a little bit more of a defensive role, and that's pretty usual for him. But again, that soccer IQ, Brendan Burke really preaching that to us, what this kid is capable of. And you saw him, his distribution was faulty in the first, but in the second half, much better. He's rewarded for it. And then you continued on. They just did not pull their foot off the accelerator. 80th minute, Fabian Herbers had 2 assists already. He gets in alone, and again, that far post was the absolute death grip for Brendan Miller.
Herbers putting it in the back of the net. That's his 3rd goal this season as well. And then right at the last, Jorge Herrera making sure that Charlotte wasn't completely embarrassed on the road and preventing the clean sheet.
Eamon Zayed, probably the only Independence player that both physically and mentally used their head all night long. Kind of drifted in and out of the match, but does a good job, and you can see the frustration. They don't celebrate their goal. They're just upset about their performance overall, and they're going to, have to go back to the drawing board, figure out what they're going to do with that very difficult series of matches coming up.
And this is a live look at the standings. The Bethlehem Steel move into 6th place, just a point behind the Charlotte Independents, who they just manhandled for 90 minutes. Obviously, some other results to take care of later on in the night as we have a whole slew of games taking place within the next 2 to 30 minutes, as well as some late West Coast games. But, I mean, for the Bethlehem Steel, that's a huge 3 points against the side that you're going to be battling for in a playoff position for the rest of the season.
You see them sitting 6th at 23 points, but look, we talked about their performances. Could have gotten a result to go this way or that way here and there, but regardless, quality opponents and excellent finishes. And you've seen a lot of teams going up and down. Nashville and Battery, just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, both sitting in 3-4 slots, sliding down into that 7-8. Still a lot to play, but it's good movement by Bethlehem Steel.
Nothing but the best for Bethlehem tonight as they are able to take care of business against the Charlotte Independents. Their next match is going to be at Penn SC to take on Lucky Kosana and the Pennsylvania Club. And the next Charlotte game will be at Indy 11 in this rough 3-game stretch. That'll be Saturday, July 7th. For our entire crew and my broadcast partner, Devin Kerr, I'm Tyler Terrence, saying so long for now. Final score, Bethlehem 4, Charlotte 1. We'll talk to you soon.